So you want to set up your own hedge fund. Let's look at the documents you're going to need. And I dug this up from one of our original ones when I set up the firm in, I think it was 2004. And our first fund was called Excalibur. It was domiciled out of the Cayman Islands, and our administrators were in Dublin. The reason they were in Dublin, even though our asset management company was FCA regulated or FSA regulated back in those days, out of London. Why Dublin? Well, we had an Irish Stock Exchange listing. I'll get into some of that later. And this is what the documents need to look like, and you will almost certainly offer multi-denominational shares, euro shares, sterling and dollars, and the money will go to different bank accounts depending on where those are going. There's another problem, or I say problem, complication. If they're Americans, you won't go near them. You'll just need a whole different set of structures for them. And so we didn't have American investors, and it was very clear we had to make sure that we weren't even accidentally trying to get Americans in. Otherwise, very, very bad things happen. Also, because we were a Cayman Islands hedge fund, we had to make sure that they're not a member of the public of the Cayman Islands, because the funny thing is, if you've got a Cayman fund, you can't market to people in the Cayman Islands. And then are they an eligible investor, which meant different things, but it generally at that time meant net worth of $1 million. Ideally, you want institutions anyway, because they write larger checks. And that was $5 million. I should say this is for educational purposes, and I am certainly not marketing to anybody on here, because that would be a criminal offence to do so. And here we go. So we got more things here, and this all just explains all the legal duties between what the administrator will do and what the fund will do, where the money is, and so on and so forth, as well, what we can invest in, what we can't, and the fact that their money better be clean and that they're not under any sanctions. All of those kinds of things. And so, as you can imagine, there's a lot of legality. And then there's always the KYC, of course. We need their proof of address. Now, it's a lot easier if they were an individual, which they rarely are. It's usually a family office. And through that, there'll be a company through which they invest. And so we'll need a heck of a lot of information. And now, the good news is all those institutions that we get will actually have this. They'll have a secretariat available who'll deal with all of this. Like I said, restricted people or anything to do with America, anything actually almost to do with the financial services industry. We didn't actually have a problem with any of that because we're well aware of the laws and so on, but this all made it very clear. Let me show you what else is important with these things. Yeah, I know, Swedish, Finnish. There were all sorts of, you've got to be aware that there are so many regulations of different countries, and you don't want to trample on anybody's toes on that. Okay, so they fill all this in terms of who'll be the registered shareholder and authorized signatory, and then the banking side. Now I'm going to show you something which will be interesting from the banking side, and again, it'll depend on whether it's euros, sterling, or whatever, which is this. The money doesn't, of course, come to me personally, obviously not. It goes to the fund, but it goes to the fund via our administrators. Our administrators were Citco, which is, or was then, the world's largest hedge fund administrators. And then it goes into our account, and through our account, we are able then to place trades and so on and so forth. But depending on whether it's sterling, euros, or dollars, it'll go into different banks, and we were using Barclays was one of our banks, and then it'll go to Citco, and then Citco send it eventually to us. Now, there's several reasons for that you have administrators. The reason you have administrators is that there's an independent pair of eyes making sure that you just don't run off with the money and go and do things that you're not supposed to do. Now, you might as well, surely the auditors are there for that, and surely the lawyers are there for that. Yes, well, the lawyers aren't keeping basically a day-to-day eye on you. The administrators are. The auditors don't keep a day-to-day eye on you. They're looking in hindsight at your accounts, and the accountants don't keep a day-to-day eye on you either, because they will look at things as they get them. So it's the administrators who actually keep an eye on you, even more so than, say, the custodian bank. And of course, the regulators, you might say, keep a day-to-day eye on you. No, they don't. Unless you sort of, in a day, do something erratic, then it might trigger a warning at their end, such as you suddenly buy, with all your money, you buy shares in just one company. Then that might trigger some warnings, possibly with the regulator, but I doubt it. It'll really trigger it with the administrator, and they're the ones who are aware of what you can and can't do. And the broker it might trigger an alarm with, but probably not the prime broker, whoever you're using, possibly not even with them. But the thing is, none of these things matter if you're just doing what you should do anyway. It's only if you start going crazy. But that's why there's lots of checks and balances on this side. Anyway, I thought it'd be interesting. I will do more of these videos, so do like and follow for more and give you more insights into the hedge fund industry. Thank you.